Hello, everybody.
Oh, am I in the way?
You are. That's okay. You want to make sure I'm okay. I'm on street. I know, and it's always hard to do this. We're going to. So today is Xmas Fruitcake Day. Woohoo! We are so excited. So as you know, we did some. Oops. I'm gonna do some minor adjustments here. We did the fruit last week, soaked it, 800 grams of different types of dried fruit, soaked in about a cup and a quarter, cup and a half of boozy goodness, rum and port. You want to check it out? Check the Discord channel. We put the amounts, the variations, all that kind of stuff. And now we are actually going to cook. We're going to cook 3 types. I'm going to let Blue Witch take it from here.
Okay, so yes, fruitcake. A long tradition in at Christmas fair. I mean, because you have to remember too, a lot of traditional recipes have fruit in them because at winter time, most places in the northern hemisphere didn't have fresh fruit. So you'd have aged apples in your store and things. So, you know, getting dried fruit, which would be like your grapes and things that are dried and various different fruits, kind of gave you something to add to your cooking, and it didn't go off. Because at the end of the day, it was all about it not going off. However, kind of became a tradition, and I love fruitcake. I love mince pies. I know in North America it's kind of like less popular to have fruitcake. However, that's a lot to do with the dried stuff you get from the store. The fruitcake from the store is fairly like a lot of things from the store. Bread and stuff is not the best you can get. So here's a homemade one. A recipe and things that I've used several times.
Say hello to Icy. Icy just came in.
Hi, Icy.
Icy, it's food time, Icy says.
Fruitcake. And yes, so, and I often end up veering back to, I kind of started off with Delia Smith's recipe.
Oh, the lovely Delia.
Yes, but I kind of tweak it a little bit.
Sweetheart of Britain.
Of Britain, yes. Sweetheart of Britain. And
Whereas
again,
Mary Berry is the grandmother of the, I don't know, she's kind of the mother of baking for Britain, but Delia is the...
they're about the same age though, I would imagine. Oh yeah, Delia Smith is old. Anywho, I grew up with Delia Smith. Anywho. Yeah, but fruitcake is something all across Europe, different times, you know, Easter, Christmas tend to be the big ones, but all across Europe you'll find some element of fruitcake. I like boozy fruitcake, and I soak the fruit so that it's moist. It's not that dried stuff. Like if you just use raisins and sultanas straight as they are fine. I mean, they're great to eat. But you probably realize that, you know, your raisins are a little on the drier side. So throwing them into a cake and things doesn't bring out the best in your raisins. Where if you kind of soak them. So we soaked ours for a week. You can soak them a bit shorter, but I like a week. Gives them plenty of time to get a little plumper. So, I mean, this is the fruit. This is what it's like. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So this is what it's like. You can see that there's this kind of sticky moisture. You know, the alcohol and the bits of sugar and things that have come off the dried fruit are kind of creating a bit of a syrup as too, that which will all go into the cake. So we're going to have a moist cake. And these fruit are more plump. They taste nice.
Oh God, do they ever.
And they taste boozy.
They taste very boozy.
If you don't want to make this as an alcohol cake, so if you're like, no, I'm not doing the alcohol, you can replace the alcohol with orange juice and some water. And in that, then, you know, you kind of add it. It's good to have the orange juice because it has a bit of a flavor, but you can soak your fruit in orange juice and a bit of water, maybe apple juice, whatever you kind of maybe have a flavor. You could even try cranberry juice.
Or Coke. Like Pepsi. Like
you could try that, yes. The only thing you want to...
really sweet.
Yeah, that's the only thing you'd want to watch. That if you actually soaked it in some of those things is to watch the sugar. You may want to cut back on the sugar you add, because your syrup is going to be a little sweet. Whereas with alcohol, there is sugar in it, but not the same amount as what there is in orange juice, various juices, and then also if you add Coke and things. Now, I'm talking about juice. I'm not talking about orange drink, cranberry drink, not stuff with added sugar, because again, if you do add that, you're going to have to watch for the sugar amounts that you add afterwards, because we do add sugar to it. So you'd want to cut back a bit on that, so it's not going to rot your teeth or get that, like that kind of what you get at Halloween where you're like, oh my God, my teeth.
Victor's on. Say hi to Victor.
Hi, Victor. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling better, all wrapped up at least, and just taking care of yourself. All right, okay, so...
Oh, tell them we're using the... Oh yeah, you did tell them that. Okay.
What am I using?
You told them about we're using the
yes, we're Delia.
Yeah.
You said Delilah to me, and we spelt it wrong. She said Delilah. It's Delia.
The recipe, the base recipe, is on Discord.
So yes.
In the Witch's Pantry.
So the base recipe, if you didn't hear that, is on Discord in the Witch's Pantry for this. Okay, so
yeah.
And there'll be a link to it. So, am I ready? Are you,
yeah,
you finished telling me what to do?
Go for it.
Okay, so first and foremost,
mix. There's an ad coming. You might have to just natter on while the ad.
Can people stare?
40 seconds.
Oh, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do, though, and we'll wait until the ad's done, is mix spice. Mixed spice isn't necessarily, I have found, generally in the grocery store. You may get it in yours. I see a lot of cinnamon in the separate spices, but not a lot where they come together. In the UK, you can buy mixed spice. So it's already pre-mixed. So I'm going to make my own mixed spice. Advantage to that is it's kind of done, and then I can add it, because I add it to other things. So oftentimes in recipes that ask for cinnamon, I mix cinnamon with mixed spice just to give it a bit more of a flavor contrast than just cinnamon. Are we on the ads?
It will be, yeah. We're in
wow.
the ad now.
40 seconds is a long time.
Other people won't be on it, so you can see. Yes, Darnice is there.
Yes, so this is where we're at.
It's great, yeah.
Yes.
When it's done.
I'm just realizing I'm in one of those moments where you're like, I'm hot. Am I hot because I'm having a hot flash? Or am I hot just because it's hot in here? Oh my God.
It might be a bit of both.
I don't know, you hit the 1st of December, so now we're on the 2nd of December, and suddenly it's like, rack the heat up. But I know the weather we're having here is generally unseasonably warm. Now we get Chinooks in Calgary, so we get hot and cold. But I don't know, I'm finding it warm. When I first moved to Calgary, this time of year it'd be freezing, and now it's kind of fairly warm. Comparatively, if you're living in Florida, then this is cold. But when you live in the frozen north, this is actually quite warm.
Well, did you put the stove on?
I had the stove on.
Dog's decided she's going to leave us.
I have an iron frying pan, so I wash the iron frying pan, and just to make certain it's 100% dry so it doesn't go rusty, I put it into the oven. I did switch it off now, so that may be what's contributing to the heat in here. Who knows? And the dog's escaped out the door, which you can't decide whether she wants to come out. Okay, so are we at that point?
No, he's going to have another minute.
All right. So yeah, a lot of history. I don't actually know when the first fruitcake. It at least goes back to Elizabethan times, which would be like the late 1500s, 16th century, a little bit before that. And actually too, there's a big history on spices and the acquisition of spices, and also the acquisition of spices being part of that early colonial history and exploitation of peoples around the world. A lot of bad stories. I know there was, I cannot remember which colony it was of the Netherlands, the Dutch, but they did eradicate all the local folks for the spices. Can't remember whether that was allspice or nutmeg or what. Because spices were highly valuable. And so when there's money,
We're back.
people will do anything. Yes. When there's money, and so there used to be a lot of money in spices, a bit like tea, people...
About what's the spices in it?
I'm going to get there. I'm just talking about that. People will do terrible things when there's a lot of money. We're just talking about the spice trade in the past, and it has a very dark history. It still has actually a very dark history now because, you know, again, there's always room for people to exploit other people. All right, okay. That's my bit for the day. So, can you see the spices?
Yeah.
So,
Spices.
the beauty of making your own spice mix, it's a bit like making your own any mix of whether you're inspired by Indian food or inspired by Mexican food and things like that, is that you can tweak things to your own taste. I like cloves and things. So in here, I have cloves. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So you want them where they have these little stalks on them. So sometimes maybe if you ever do a baked ham, you can stab it with cloves to give it extra flavor. So I've got cloves. I've got allspice. Now allspice is in these. Look, it all got mixed up, and here we go. I've got a big one. Big one. So allspice is a bowl. So I've got these little bowls in here.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit of nutmeg. I cut the nutmeg, aiming for about half a teaspoon. These are all strong spices, so they can actually tolerate each other fairly well. Like you wouldn't bung this many cloves maybe in a different kind of mix because they'd overpower it. But because these are all strong spices, they kind of sit well together. But I just have a little bit of nutmeg. Because maybe you kind of tried this, but if you put too much nutmeg in things or too much of the other, it starts getting medicinal. Hence, you get into that oil of cloves if you've ever had toothache and stuff. And then we have the beautiful star anise. Yeah, just one of those amazing things. If you look at like Chinese food, Malaysian food, things like that, I find, like they add it, and again, with cautious use, so you're not overpowered by it. But I find it adds a nice flavor, and it can be a little buttery. So it is a strong taste, but it does have this nice little smoothness on your tongue. Okay, so grinder.
We're going to put we'll put the amounts on the Discord, Witch's Pantry Discord channel later today.
Okay, are you able to hear that on the mic here? Do I need to repeat that?
No.
Okay.
I can hear it.
Fabulous. Okay, so we have several in here. I'm going to bung it in. Now, I actually have some ground cinnamon. So I haven't put cinnamon sticks in here, but you can put cinnamon sticks in as well. You want to put a lot of cinnamon sticks just to kind of looking for, because cinnamon also would be one of those ingredients in this that you have more of. Where's my lid? Getting old. I need an assistant. I wish I could train the dog to be an assistant. Anywho, so you can put the cinnamon sticks in here too. Now, one of the things of actually grinding your own, because I even grind some of the other spices and things that I have, is they're fresher. They're fresher than what you get in the shop. So you can buy the dried stuff, grind it yourself, have very fresh spices without actually spending a lot of money. So that's something to bear in mind.
Say hi to Obadi.
Hi, Obadi. So I'm grinding these up. And I want to have that nice, smooth, kind of powdery piece. Now, if you look in here, because I'm grinding this up, the one thing as well with these spices is they actually contain oil. So you kind of see it, and it has what you would think is a moist look about it. It's not dried like you necessarily get when you go to the shop. So here we go, and that's probably as far as I'm going to take them because they do dry out.
So, show it again. Just tilt it slightly. Yeah. No. Yeah. Up a bit. No, down. But tilt up. There. That's it.
Is that good?
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. So you kind of see it's a little what you could say a bit on the clumpier side because it looks a little moister. The stuff you buy in the store tends to look drier because it's kind of dried out in an industrial process and ground up, and also too you don't know when they did the grinding. This is freshly ground. We still have the oils, so we don't have any extraction in the oils. But, and if I put it on my hands, you can still see it's fairly well ground. So this is mixed spice I made before, and you can see it's starting to, it dries out, especially in a place like Calgary. It will dry out and it'll lose some of that moisture. But yeah, so that consistency is kind of good. You know, you've got it ground up, you've got all the stuff, and you're going to be like, you know, it's a little bit more fibrous. So, but that's kind of good. So this is good. I'm going to stick with this. Now, a word of warning when you're doing some of these things. I'm going to tell a story about sea hag.
Must you?
Yeah. Yeah, this is what happens when you spend long enough with people, they know all the silly things you've done. Okay, so we were living in England, and this is where, you know, sea hag really got into some of the delights of these things, because there's more bakeries and things in England, and you can run around, and, you know, I used to love it because I could just feast on mince pies this time of year and things, and just get them from the bakery. But anywho, I don't know what you were mixing. But the thing to be cautious of with your appliances, especially when you're grinding. So when you're grinding and mixing and things like that, the motors on these appliances can overheat. So you'll notice that I stopped and started there. Not too bad on this, but there are some, you know, like if you threw in a big chunk of dried turmeric, that would take a while to grind down. I even grind sugar in here to make icing sugar. It took a while to do that. So you got to be cautious you're not going to burn out your motor, and you can feel it get hot as you keep doing it. And you don't actually have to press it long. So when we were in England...
Must you?
Do you know which story I'm going to tell?
I know what story you're going to tell.
We had a food... Was it the food processor?
It was a food processor.
We had a food...
Stop. It was a mini food processor.
Yes, it's still. It was you know, so it was a mini, so you knew to love it and care for it and be kind to it. A bit like, you know, a little dog. Anyway, so sea hag, I don't know what you were mixing, but it was mixing and mixing and mixing, and then it was like, so sea hag, what is that smell? It smells like burning rubber. And it got to the point that that it overheated so much. I don't know if we could see smoke, but it was on the edge of that because it stank. It made the whole apartment smell, and it was like completely burnt out the motor. We had to pick it up physically and put it outside because it smelled so badly of burning rubber, plastic.
Okay.
It killed it. Okay. Needless to say, just killed it. So
we finished with that story.
I am. So I'm very like, okay, be careful. All right, so in here, I've got all the spice, and I'm going to add my ground cinnamon.
How much?
Well, this is going to be by eye. I'm going to add, you know, like the cinnamon is probably going to be about a third, depending on your taste, to a third to half of the volume of the other spices. Because this also too calms it down. I know like cinnamon is a strong taste, but from my experience and my kind of taste, it's not as strong as the other ones we've got in here.
Okay.
So I'm mixing it in. And you can see I've added the ground cinnamon, so the actual look of the spices is beginning to look a little drier. And that cinnamon being lighter, it's taking some of the darkness, so the spice itself is lightening up. So that's probably good for me. I probably added about 40% extra volume to it and mixed it in. So say, I like the because you don't want this just to be cinnamon flavored. What you actually are looking for is the mixed spice. You're looking for those stronger spices, balanced a bit off with the cinnamon. So you're not looking for it to be like 90% cinnamon and a little bit of the rest, because otherwise you might as well just do cinnamon. So there we go. That's my mixed spice, freshly made. Okie dokes. Let's get going. Alright, going to use the glass bowl. It was clean, no, that's underneath. So I'm going to use the glass bowl so you can actually see what I'm doing inside of this. Now, can you do me a favor, Sea Hag?
Yeah.
Can you get me a couple of cups? Probably get me about 5 cups of flour in a bowl.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Now, the recipe that we have, which again could be a bit challenging if you're making this at home and you're used to cups, because the recipe is actually in grams. And you could do the conversion, but it is in grams. So I'm looking for 225 grams of flour. So I'm just going to weigh that out. So I have it all lined up. And we can get going. But yeah, that's that tricky thing. So this precise moment I'm going, I don't quite know what 225 grams is in cups. It is about 4 ounces, 8 ounces, about 10 ounces, just short of a pound. Gonna use this bowl. All right. I feel like one of those magicians. Here I have one bowl. Now I have another bowl. Okay. So I'm going to put the trusty weighing scale on. So, also a little story about us. And this is the both of us.
I guess I'm glad it's about us.
Us. So just think, we used to do these terrible evenings that were very debaucherous in terms of... That sounds very like we were Game of Thrones naked with lots of people in a room, doesn't it? I don't mean that kind of debauchery. It did involve very bad horror films and tequila.
Oh
but,
yeah, tequila and horror night.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. You find the worst horror films and drink tequila and suddenly they become amazing. The horror films I tend to remember. Anywho, but we used to get that, you know, the cheesy puffs? The cheesy puff.
Oh yeah.
Chips?
Cheesy puff, yeah, the cheesy puffs.
Yeah, there we go.
Cheetos.
Yeah, like Cheetos. Anywho, they're like orange crack. You know, you start eating them and they're just so addictive. So, again, trusty weighing scale, because again, when you start having this highly prized food, you know, we get very like, okay, I want to make certain I have as much as you. You got more than me. So it ends up being weighed out. So I think we've invariably used the weighing scale more to ensure that we've got the same amount of food we desire, than necessarily for cooking. When I was in England, I always did things by weight. And then when I came here, I do things by cup, which makes life a little tricky at times. All right, so I've got my 225 grams of white flour, all-purpose flour. I'm going to get half a teaspoon of salt. Throw that in there once I remember. Okay, so, and then I'm adding, just going to put there to one side. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of my mixed spice. You can just smell this. This is so strong. It's strong. Oh, where's my Ujimi from? Plug it. You're looking for a grater. Oh, there we go. It's kind of mystery cooking, because Sea Hag put things back wherever they kind of, whatever takes her in that moment. So there's certain things like the melon bowler, which I use to decore my apples. This, which has a particular name, but I'm just going to call it a grater. And I'm never quite certain which drawer it is in. So it's
keep you guessing, keep you young.
Yes. So for my cognitive health, keeps me sharp.
That's right, that's what I'm doing, keeping your cognitive.
Yes. So again, because cognitively, it's good to do things differently.
So are you adding more nutmeg?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just to bring up the taste?
Well, yes, because it has it in the recipe, and
okay.
You get nutmeg and mixed spice.
Okay.
Okay, this is only about 1/4 teaspoon. So I'm kind of winging it here. Oh, fell in. Love these things. Though if you grate anything like the zest and stuff like that, I find that you want to clean it like straight away because then it doesn't stick into the little teeth, a bit like if you use a grater. Okay, I've got a little bit of flour on this, but it's okay. Nutmeg comes in a little kind of pod thing. You just need to grate it as you use it. And then it keeps for yonks and yonks and yonks. It's probably going to survive climate change. and you can still grate it because then you get this fresh oomph of nutmeg smell. I think later we're going to do eggnog coffee.
Yes.
You know, because we're really suffering here.
And too early to add the rum though.
We're not going to add the rum, yes, but eggnog coffee. And so we'll have a bit of nutmeg on that too. All right. So in here I've got my spices, I've got my salt, and I've got my flour. I'm going to sift it. I'm going to sift it, really. I'm going to sift it. Now, I don't know. I find here in Calgary, the flour, I don't know because it's so dry, sometimes it goes a bit clumpy. Or whether it's just the batch. So, running it through a sieve kind of gets rid of the lumpy bits. And again, you would see then if you made your own mixed spice, you would see the bits that didn't fully go. But I'm still going to add those. It's fruitcake. You're not going to really notice if you're you have a few larger pieces of your ground spice, mixed spice. And again, if you find that it's a bit little on the clump, it's a bit thicker than you want, you can just run it through the grinder again. All right, in here then I have that. What I'm going to throw in now is the zest of an orange. You can use the zest of lemon if you want. I don't like candied peel. Now, someone gave me some stuff once that was homemade, and it wasn't as bad, but that store-bought candy peel that's orange and green and little squares, and it's just like no, don't like that. So I don't add it. So
we'll see Whitby around. Whitby is our Roomba.
Yes. So I really make certain that I do add my zest. Now I've got the zest. So it's not all the pith. It's not all the white stuff. It's just the orange or the orange or the yellow of the lemon. It's not all the gunky stuff. Okay, so this is a kind of like, throw it all in recipe. So I've got some butter. It's still a bit chunky. This is room temperature butter, so it's not straight out of the fridge. It's going to be easier to mix. And because this is fruitcake, it's not angel food cake or anything like that. We're not looking for this cake. It's going to rise, but it's not a kind of cake that rises a lot. So you're not throwing tons of air into it. What you laughing at?
So Icy says, oh yes, the giant butter. Icy's in the States. Where it comes in the sticks.
It's butter for giants. There we go. But why is it in a stick? I mean, is it so hard to just cut off a piece? Or is it like, oh, cooking's so hard, I need them to cut it up so small for me? I don't get why it comes in sticks.
The same as why milk comes in bags in certain parts of Canada.
I know.
Just the way it is sometimes.
They tried that back at home when I was a kid. Let's do milk in bags. You didn't get it from the milkman. You got, like the local stores started trying bags. And you were like, again, never sussed that bit. Flops around.
Icy says the sticks have tablespoon measurements on the paper, so you just slice along the line.
But so does the block.
Yeah, but I don't think you get the tablespoon. You get the cup, quarter cup, half cup and quarter cup.
Yeah, we don't get tablespoons. Yeah. That's why we have a tablespoon. I suppose it's extra work. There you go. Maybe you're just more sophisticated bakers than us folks.
We don't know how to do math in the US.
So I'm adding in the eggs too. So all the eggs go in. So there's 4 eggs. These are medium-sized eggs. Eggs are, I mean, God, everything's got expensive. But
Icy appreciates the knife method you're using to crack the eggs.
You want me to do it one-handed?
No, I know. I think they said they like the knife method.
Oh yeah. Quick hack. Okay, so we have all that. And then I have the sugar. How much sugar is it again? I think it's 225 grams. I'm going to check that just so that. Okay. So 225 grams of brown sugar. So I don't know whether you can buy stuff in bulk where you guys are. Oh, I threw it all everywhere. Look at that. I need the organic Hoover. Rumba here on the counter. Okay, so we got this from a local place you can buy by the weight. It's brown sugar. So I put in a piece of bread.
Oh, yeah.
You can buy little terracotta things that you soak to add, because brown sugar, especially in a dry environment like here, just goes hard. Now you can revive it again by putting in one of those soaked terracotta little tiles, or just put in bread, old bread, and it doesn't go moldy in here. I mean, all the sugar is also that preservative, and bread itself just tends to, if it's in, especially if it's like dried out a little bit, will tend to just dry out as opposed to going moldy. It goes moldy in the bag more than if you're leaving it out. So you get your breadcrumbs. Anywho, so that's what I've done to keep it more workable. I think you can put it in the microwave as well, brown sugar, to re-soften.
Can you?
I think so. You want to make certain you don't kind of melt it though. Okay. There is my brown sugar.
I was just talking to Icy about bulk burn, because Icy said they have some organic stores where you can buy spices and stuff in bulk. And I said, here in bulk burn you can do it much cheaper.
Yes. It's probably not organic though.
No, it's not organic, however.
Okay, I'm going to throw in my sugar.
Sugar goes in.
Okie doke. And then I get my trusty high-end. Oh.
Not
We had a KitchenAid. I was always a bit disappointed with a KitchenAid for making anything like this, because it always left, when it mixed, there was always a bit at the bottom it would miss.
Yes. I have to say, after trying that, the KitchenAid, I will go back to having the mechanical beater.
Yes. Now, this is where your cognitive skills come in, because I don't know what they do when they make these things, but it's kind of like, all right, which one goes where?
Ogedy says, my closest bulk burn is right next to Wine and Beyond. Not cheaper for me. That's not the fault of bulk burn, Ogedy.
But at least it's an enjoyable experience. Okay, are we in?
Do you want some help?
Oh no, I got them in. But I have to play with them always a little bit. I don't use them there regularly to figure out which one goes where. To get them to stay in. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to go, and we're just going to mix all this up. No leavener, no baking soda or anything is added. Woo! Okay. So again, with these things, I always kind of kick up a bit of a storm with the flour. I got it on the lowest. This one is still a bit aggressive, maybe because it's so classy. On 1. Anywho, but this is the advantage of using room temperature butter. It starts to mix quicker, whereas if it's frozen or it's cold, it takes longer, so you get more of this stuff flying around. So I'm just mixing it all in. I just turned it up a bit, now it's not going to be crazy on me. Has a beautiful whistle to it. Very hard to talk over this, and it's kind of the eggs and things give it moisture a little bit, but it's a drier mix here because we're going to add in all that kind of very moist fruit, so that will add and make it kind of loosen up a bit and become more moist. So don't be surprised that it seems a little drier for a cake mix. So a quick run after you finish, just to get a lot of the stuff off. Again, looking to try and get everything mixed in.
That looks good.
Yeah, so I have a few little bits of butter, and I could keep going at this, but you know, I do find the fruitcake on some levels is a little unforgiving. So I don't think even if you have little bits of...
Forgiving.
Yeah, it actually though is a little unforgiving. Because, you know, Christmas Day, it's like, you've not eaten me yet. It's a bit forgiving.
We're in the middle of an ad break, just letting you know.
Good job, because, you know, only would have seen me do that whole thing. Yeah, so this is, so normally on a cake, you wouldn't be looking for it to be so thick. And in fact, I can give that another little bit of a whiz just to count those bits. So I gave it a bit more of a mix just to get all the butter in. I mean, it's not essential. However, you'll see as I gave it a blast with the turbo, it's gone lighter in color because it's whipped up more. So that also is one of those signs when you're looking for a cake. That thing where it changes color, gets a bit lighter. That's the kind of the butter and the eggs lightening up. Yeah, so all our butter is actually mixed in. So I've got chopped walnuts. No, I will take that back. These are actually chopped almonds.
Are they chopped almonds? How
Yeah.
much?
So there's 50 grams of chopped almonds.
And that's in the, is that in the recipe?
Should
Or is that
be.
how we added?
No, that should be in the
Okay,
recipe.
no, I just wanted to make sure.
I'm sneaky. This is terrible. See how all the time says, what's the recipe for? I don't know. I just did it.
I just did it. Can't remember. It was one of the best things I've ever tasted. And I'd like to taste it again, but no, you haven't written it down.
It's kind of there. I make it again and I'm like, there you go. Okay, so recipe calls for, how much does it actually call for? Oh, there's a teaspoon. This is where my memory goes. Okay, it asks for a dessert spoon. I technically don't know what size a dessert spoon is.
Does it say dessert spoon?
Yes, because again, it's a UK recipe.
Oh my god.
So I can't tell you how many mils if Seahang wants to look it up, but I'm going to
look into it.
I'm going to put in a teaspoon. A dessert spoon isn't quite as big as a teaspoon, so it might be similar to two tablespoons. Okay, so it actually asks for a dessert spoon of black treacle. So in North America, you can use black treacle. Really is molasses. Slightly different, but it's more like molasses. So you can use a dessert spoon or a tablespoon of molasses. This is actually the burnt sugar. So kind of, you know, it's a dark caramel syrup. They use it a lot in the Caribbean in different areas. So a bit inspired by that. This is something I made. You can buy it in shops. I followed a recipe and made this. Basically, you heat up the sugar until it melts. And it starts to go this roasty, dark color. And then you throw in some hot water to make this syrup.
So it's 1 tablespoon, so 1.2 and a half, 2 1/4, so 1 1/4 dessert spoons is in 1 tablespoon.
Okay, yes. So
it's a bit less than a regular tablespoon.
yes.
Ooh, look at that.
So here we go. We got all our nice syrup in there and the nuts, and I'm just going to mix these in. Actually, I'm going to use the whizzer for this. Why use the muscles when you got a whizzer? Oh, so it's still at a very kind of sticky stage. Oh, there we go. This stuff, when I made the syrup, it wasn't a full jar, but it, again, because it's full of sugar, it lasts forever. Forever and ever. So it's one of those things you can add. You can also add it to ice cream and things, so you can make it and not feel like it's something you have to use quickly. So that is mixed in. So now we go for the lovely fruit. So you kind of see there's a lot of fruit here to the batter. So again, this is why it becomes a fruit cake as opposed to a sponge cake with fruit in it. Because because we have about as equal amount of batter to the fruitcake. And then also at the bottom we have this pool of liquid, which is going to make this more moist as well. So I want to get all this liquid in, because as well, at this precise moment, I don't think I'd pass a breathalyzer for the amount of booziness that I'm breathing in.
Lovely booziness.
So I'm getting all the kind of juices in there. Okie dokes. All right, so now get my spatula, and you can see here. I don't know, can you see that? Where the liquid?
Yes, you can. Yep.
So that's the liquid in here too.
So is this an 18+ recipe?
Well, actually, in Europe, no.
It depends on what part of the country you're in, Dexter.
I mean, we used to eat this as a kid. I mean, yeah, you'd have fruitcake. And they'd always put...
Well, you also used to feed the fruitcake, which is you added alcohol. So let's just say that if you... It's not enough to...
It's not going to make you drunk, really.
But not when it's not... The thing about it is, you're right. If you bake it, it's not going to bake off all the alcohol. There will be some alcohol still in there. If you don't... We started by saying that if you don't want to soak your fruit in alcohol, you can soak it in apple juice or orange juice or cranberry juice with a bit of water, or even just a little bit of water or heated water.
Yeah, because it'll pick up the flavors of the fruit.
Yeah, what you want to do is just get that fruit moist.
Oh, I forgot to do this. Can you tell me what 140 Celsius is in Fahrenheit?
Oh, God, okay. 140 Celsius in Fahrenheit.
So here we've mixed it in, and you can see it's kind of grown because of all the fruit, but it's become more moist. This actual cake has become more moist. Don't worry if it looks a little bit like, separated slightly. That's just because of the volume of the liquid and stuff, but it's only mild. It's not anything to really worry about.
284. Okay. 140 degrees Celsius is 284 Fahrenheit.
Okay. 285. Yeah. So 295 Fahrenheit. So this cooks. So this is a recipe for one cake. So this would all be going into a cake pan. I mean, I've made one twice the size of this massive fruit cake for a kind of function. So cooking all of this in your pan at 284 is going to take 4 to 5 hours. And you cook it at a low temperature because it's so dense. And you want to make certain it's actually cooked, so you have to cook it for a long time, but you cook it at a lower temperature so it's not burning and it's not drying out. So it's not like you can go, okay, well, I want to cook it quicker, I'll bung up the temperature, because all that's going to do is then risk that it's going to burn on the sides, because it's going to take a long time for that heat to get in there. Now, we, however, are going to do something slightly different. We're actually going to make 3 different things here. So we got the cake pan, and I did this, and I was like, you know what, I meant to weigh this glass container.
The glass bowl.
And of course, did I do that? No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
So now I'm going to weigh it.
Aren't you?
Well, I'm going to weigh it, because I'm going to make 3 different things here.
All right, do you want to get you small bowls?
No, I think, let's see, here we go. So in it goes. I'm weighing how much there is in here, so I can roughly divide it up.
Because the plan is to have a regular fruitcake, a fruitcake with marzipan, and a chocolate fruitcake as 3 separate things.
Okay, here we go. So I've got it in there, and it weighs 220 grams. Sorry, 2,000.
I was gonna say
220 grams.
You mean it's over 2 kilos?
Oh, actually, no, it's 2,200 grams.
So
Yeah.
Just over 200.
So it's over 2 kilos. Okay. So,
Divide by 3? Yes.
so what's that divided by 3?
I know. I'm doing math.
So it's 600 and something.
2200 divided by 3 is 733.333.
Oh God, I can't count. It's
What
like,
did you say?
well, I said 800
No.
divided by 3, 600. Are you really? 700?
It's 2200
Yeah.
divided by 3 is 733.
Oh, I suppose it is because, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
My maths is completely off now.
So 733.
Okay, so we have this little tin. This is going to be our little tin of our whole fruitcake. Can you see it? There you go. We have various size tins. As it tends to be just presently, as it post-COVID really threw things. Presently it's just sea hag and I, so we don't do a super one.
But it also is good for portion control, all that kind of stuff.
It's Christmas, portion control, really. No, true. Because also we freeze this.
Yes, we freeze this.
Reduces the constant feeding and things to keep it happy. We freeze this. So I'm looking for 730, am I?
33.
Okay, here we go. Adding in my fruitcake. So this is just a straight plain...
Oh, did you put leavening agent in it?
No, there's no rising agent.
There's no rising agent?
No.
Oh, no, you're right. There isn't, is there? So so that, God, that's a lot. So that is, and that pan is buttered and floured with a bit of parchment at the bottom.
Yeah, so it pops out because it's not a poppy out tin. Now, it's a small tin. That is 500 grams of fruitcake mix.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not going to put more in here because it's going to rise. I don't want it to get spilly over because it will rise. It's kind of full in there now. So I'm going to leave it there. And then we have some parchment paper. Just a strip. And that's actually going to go around the pan. And now I'm going to get sea tag to help me.
Oh, must I? Yes.
Okay, and then I have a piece of string. So it's string. Don't use plastic string. This is just
this is
twine.
Whatever, yeah.
So a natural fiber, so it's not going to melt in the oven. And what I'm doing is...
Oh my God, that smells so good.
Yeah, hold on to it.
Yeah,
Okay, now I need your finger.
okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm going to tie the string around, and so it's going to keep this piece of parchment paper in place. And so the idea being it's going to grow. The cake will rise a little bit. And so the parchment paper just gives it that extra bit of a wall, just in case. Like we could trial and put just a little bit more in here. Should we do that? No, I'm not going to do that. But it's going to grow. So the parchment paper will contain it if it kind of overspills. But the other thing it does is it stops the sides from getting burnt. Because, you know, when it's in the oven, the sides are what's going to heat up first and the heat gets transferred in, but it takes time to get to the middle. And so this is just providing a little bit for the burning, but also too when it rises up, it still has this protective piece so that it's not going to burn on the edges whilst it's still cooking. This is small. It's not going to take 4 hours to cook. I'm hoping that we're around about 45 minutes with this small cake because this is just under 25% of the actual fruit cake mix. So, such a low temperature, the oven is heated already. I'm actually going to take out my pan.
Solid cast iron pan.
Yep. And in she goes. Just put her in the middle of the oven. I'm going to set that for 30 minutes and I'm going to check on it. Now, we've got the rest of the cake. So we've taken out 500. That leaves us with 1,700.
And then half of that is...
Yes, so that should be what, 850?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to start the coffee for our eggnog coffee.
Okay, so I'm going to put 850 in here.
Okay.
La, la, la. Nearly there. Okey pokes. So there's 850 in there. Marzipan, almond paste. Can you see that, Marie? See, Hank?
Yep.
Okay.
Marzipan can come in a tube, can come in a tub, can come in a big block.
Yeah. I mean, again, I do miss England because you'd get this in a huge block, like a kilo block. And then you could get it pre-flavored with brandy and things. A little less, I don't know. I don't know whether people eat that much. Do other people eat marzipan almond paste? Or is it just one of those European things?
That's a good question. What do you think, chat? Is marzipan almond paste
Something you eat? You have? Because we also buy it with chocolate.
Yes.
And maybe that's when most people eat it.
They don't, yes, bake with it.
It's nice. So what I'm going to do is, to make life easy, is I'm going to grate it. So you peel it out this sausage thing. So this is made here, it's not imported. Okay.
Icy says, not really, but they do have marzipan Mexican candies down here. Those are popular, like a little round cake. Oh.
Oh, they sound nice.
Yes, they do.
Because you get a lot of marzipan and a lot of almond in, I know, in European cookery. So obviously as well in Mexican cookery. I'm grating it. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm actually doing this by eye. I would say, you know, we're looking at probably going to be 1/3 of a cup of grated marzipan.
Oof, that sounds good.
Do you want a piece?
Oh, yes. I thought you'd never ask. Oh, this is dead. This is dead.
Okay, I'm going to put that in. Can you see this?
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
So I'm going to put in my marzipan. Can you see that?
yeah.
So it's just grated up. I did the rough grate. Not fine. And then I'm just going to fold this in. It's kind of itself a little sticky, so I need to break it up again to get it so I can mix it in. And then I'm going to get sea hag, because we're going to put this into muffin tins. This is the other thing we do with our fruitcake, and also for portion control. And it makes it last longer, even though we put it in the freezer, and so we can just take out a muffin. So just mixing it in. Now, why am I putting marzipan? I grew up with marzipan and icing on the top of a Christmas cake, and that's often what you'll see is it's iced and snowman or scenes on the top. And then you have in Easter in England is a simnel cake. So that's one that has marzipan on the top for the apostles. So you cook your fruit cake and you have these toasted balls on the top for the 12 apostles, but also too, you put a layer of marzipan in the cake. And because it's a sugar basic, it melts with the heat, and it creates this nice little moist, gooey part to it.
Oh, God, yes.
So by grating it and putting it
Deadly.
into this, we should get these little pockets of this little bit of ooey, gooey marzipan, just again to add a different taste, flavor to it. Okay, so I'm actually going to get Sea Hag
Yes.
to put that in
Okay.
to our muffin things. We're using a small muffin pan, it's silicone. So this should make nice, reasonable, individual portions. Pardon?
I think we're gonna need more.
We may need more, and then we'll use our other pan.
We're gonna need a bigger butt. No.
So
Sorry.
I still have some left. What are you gonna do with that, Blue Witch? Oh, I could just sit and eat it. So what I'm going to do is I have a 1/4 cup of cocoa here. Can we see it? And so I'm going to add some cocoa because I'm going to make this fruitcake have a chocolate flavor to it. Goes quite well. You can even add, you know, like when you're mixing, you can even add coffee to soak in, actually thinking about it, like black coffee. You can add a little bit of coffee grounds because, again, there's such strong flavors in here, can kind of benefit too with those little hints in the background. Is this going to taste like chocolate cake? No. It'll have that kind of depth. So anyone who likes stout and they say chocolatey undertones or red wine, it's going to be a bit like that, perhaps with a bit more flavor to it. So I'm going to take half of what I have here, which is roughly a 1/4 cup. Put it in, because I don't want to dry out my mixture too much with this addition of a dry ingredient. And I'm going to look at it because there's less in here. It's not like I'm putting it into the full cake. And I'm just going to fold it in. So you kind of fold, scooping around from the sides, dash through the middle kind of stuff. So you incorporate, the idea of this is it doesn't, whatever air we got into this cake with the mixing isn't lost. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Smack.
Just to scoop this, so I'm just going to get my spatula back. Just to scoop up these last bits. To incorporate, because we don't want a pocket of cocoa. This is Dutch press cocoa, so it is a little strong. You can use regular cocoa. Still strong stuff. But anyway. Okay, so you can see that now it looks chocolatey. So this is going to be a chocolate fruitcake. So in keeping with a chocolate fruitcake, we're going to also add
Chocolate chips.
chocolate chips.
Yay!
So this is a half measure, so I'm going to add approximately 1/3 just to start. Can you see that?
Yep.
You can see these are kept in our little pantry and they go a little white because of the temperature difference. Okay. Put in my 1/3 cup of chocolate chips, because again this is a chocolate fruit cake, so I don't want to lose the integrity of the fruit by adding too much chocolate.
There's that. Oh, wow.
So I'm just giving it a look, say, okay, how much chocolate chips are there in there? Okay, I think 1/3 cup is good for my taste. You can add a few more in there, because I don't want to lose too much of the fruit aspect.
Do you want me to add any more to another thing, or we're just going to cook that and then...
No, we'll add to another one. I'm just
Okay.
going to fill these up a little bit more. And if you want to, love silicone, it bends when you pick it up. But it all stays in there with fruitcake. So I'm just going to fill these up, because if they rise a little, you know, it's okay in a silicone pan if they end up with a bit of a muffin top. And I'm really excited about these because they have almond in them. They have marzipan. You can get marzipan little sweets. You know, again, a lot in France and places where they make these little marzipan sweets in the shape of vegetables, like aubergine, kind of eggplant, and oranges and things. So I think the idea is then that you can eat this very...
We're adding in more. Okay.
A sugary, you can have a sugary treat and pretend you're having a vegetable. Seems to be a lot of work to make tiny little vegetables out of almond paste. But, you know, the French.
Did you put a timer on? Or the, yes, you did.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we are going to make...
And I just want to say, sea hag has a touch of the French. That's why I doubly laugh at the French. It's a part of that to pick on sea hag, and it's also part of, you know, growing up in England. It's kind of like we have this mutual banter between the countries.
You call it that? Mutual banter.
I'm in Canada. I don't want to be like...
No, don't do it in Canada.
Yeah, it's just different. But again, you would go into France and they would have the mutual banter towards the English, so that's okay.
Exactly.
You just hit me with that.
Sorry. We are making...
Okay, so we still have a bit left. I'm gonna... Oh, we should put these on a tray.
Yes.
So I'm going to put my little silicone cupcake minis onto a bit of a tray, and I'm going to put these into the oven, and we're going to keep track of the different times, because that's probably going to take less to cook. So I'm just going to set my phone.
So, nutmeg coffee, 1/3 of a cup of eggnog coffee, 1/3 of a cup of eggnog.
Okie doke. So we have a bit left in there. I'm just going to put... So we have a different shape for the chocolate ones. Also helps us know which is which, having the different shapes. These ones are slightly bigger than these ones. Again, because there's not a lot of rising agent in here, I'm not like in this panic that I've got to get everything into the oven immediately. It gives me a little bit of space in which to maneuver.
1/3 of a cup of milk. We're going to heat that up. I know I'm doing it. There we go. Should I take this now? Get it out of your way.
This pan too has been greased. Even though it's a non-stick pan, we still greased it and floured it.
We're in the middle of ad, just letting you know.
Okay.
That does look nice.
Mm. I'm going to aim to try and get them all in. Are we still on a...
Yeah, we got about 18 seconds. All right. funny. It's not on that.
No? Did the ads come up on your phone?
No.
Cool.
All right. We're back.
Okay, so I managed to get all of the chocolate into this brown. This is kind of like a. I use this for a brownie to make individual brownies. Sort of nice when you're sharing these with other people. They look nice because they're individually cooked. It doesn't have my unequal cutting skills that happens with brownies. Anywho, so just to repeat, the pan itself is a non-stick pan, but we did add
Flour and butter, or
Yeah.
floured it.
we kind of buttered it and then put flour, a dusting of flour on the top.
There's your eggnog coffee.
Okay, so those are done.
Yay, look at that. Those are awesome. So I think the other thing about this is if you are a person living on your own or like a couple and you make these big recipes, but you can't eat it all of them at once. So what we do with ours is we put them in muffins, we put them in smaller things, and then freeze them.
Yeah.
Oh, that nutmeg coffee tastes good.
The almond,
Eggnog coffee. Keep calling it nutmeg coffee. It's eggnog coffee.
Okay, so again, we use papers on this. This isn't a silicone one, it's a non-stick pan. And don't worry if you make a mess. It'll come off. That's one of the beauties of the silicone, even if you, not the silicone, the non-stick. Even if you're a bit cautious with the non-stick and chemicals and things, we do use the paper in here. But it does clean quicker off the sides if you kind of make a mess. Will there be enough in there? Yeah, just enough. Just enough. Woo! Wow. Looking forward to the eggnog coffee. Other people had their eggnog yet? Started because we watched our first Christmas film yesterday.
Yes. Wasn't that good? But it was okay.
It was part of the whole bad Christmas films that you can watch. Where they filmed it somewhere warm in the middle of July.
That's it.
Nice, eh?
Okay.
Okay, now we're busy eating the.
Which you shouldn't technically be eating the batter. But who did not grow up with their parents baking and not be told, here, you can lick the batter from the beaters. I used to love licking the batter from the beaters. And I know that might sound slightly obscene, so stop it.
Oh, look! Be on a low temperature.
Is it good? Is it
No,
good?
it's spread. My little silicone ones have spread.
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, have they ever?
So they're gonna be interesting.
Ooh.
We made them last time, though.
I know.
I'm sure I packed them in last time. It's just all that buttery goodness.
Yes.
That is nice. So our silicone ones are going to look interesting. However, that's okay.
So you have all of
Because then I just cut them, trim them, and then you get to eat all the cut-offs.
So basically, you have all of the pans in there, right? Cooking away.
Yes.
Nice.
And we still have some marzipan left. So we'll see. Need a bigger stove. Bigger oven.
Yes, we do.
Someone loved me.
Does anybody have any questions that Blue can address?
That doesn't involve what the lottery numbers are, or world peace, or I don't know. I was going to say a sporting thing, and then I'm like, I don't know the equivalent of a sporting thing, ice hockey wise or anything like that. Why the Calgary Flames aren't getting the Stanley Cup?
They're not.
The football team that I follow from England has only won one game, just one game.
All this year?
Yep.
Oh, going down, going down,
Yeah.
going
Since
down.
playing in August.
Going
They've been
down,
playing since
going
August.
down, going
And
down.
they've only won one game.
Come here, you.
We're just gonna, we're gonna go down. I mean, it's not like we're in the top division anyway. Yes, so liking the marzipan. Now we have to put this on rations, the marzipan.
Yes.
Because again, it's something you can just eat as is, so. Put it on rations.
Lock
Now,
it down.
what I do find with the marzipan, if you get it and you're like, all right, I'm going to try it, and perhaps it's a bit sweet for you, whatever. One thing I do find with the marzipan that we do is, so when we move into summer and say you get peaches and things like that,
Oh, yes.
like if you saute peaches or do any kind of cooking with them, even if you make peach cobbler and things, it's great a little bit of the marzipan in there because it's quite nice, and it's quite nice straight.
With peaches.
Yeah,
Really, it's quite complimentary.
Yeah, peaches and also you can do the same with pears. So even this time of year, we've got more pears. You know, just cut those pears in half and cook them up. But it's nice to saute them in butter, and then grate some marzipan on the top. Just let it kind of melt in there. Nice stuff.
Nice.
Yes, this is why we're so skinny.
That's why we're doing portion control, baby.
Yes, yes. Coming back to, need to follow a dog's diet, our dog's diet, where someone stood there who gives me a bowl of kibble, and then any treat I get is kind of like, it has to be a healthy treat. Here's a few frozen blueberries or something. Here's a little bit of carrot. As opposed to, here's a block of marzipan. How you doing, Shortness?
And she's addressing Whitby, not me.
Oh, yes. Yes. Whitby loves me.
How much more left?
Oh, it's still going to be a little bit. I don't think it's going to be done.
No, I know. But
Yeah.
Now you were going to also do the burnt sugar? You were going to show people how to do the burnt sugar?
Yes, we can do that. We can.
You can take a break, but just take a little break. And then we're going to do burnt sugar. Oh, and
Syrup.
burnt sugar syrup. Do you have a recipe for that?
Yes, I just need to remind myself.
I'm going to take a look at it and I'll put it up on Discord. The Witch's Pantry Discord channel. Check it out, guys. It has all our the photos from our food. It has all the prep work we did with the fruits this past week, including the instructions and the ingredients and weight. What did we say? 800 grams of fruit that went into that? Lovely.
Of dried fruit, yes.
Dried fruit.
Okay. Here we go.
I'm gonna take a look at it so I can post it on.
So medium heat. This pan's already hot because it was in the oven and it's been set on the stove top, which is a little hot anyway. Okay, so the one thing you do need for the burnt sugar that is hot is some hot water. Dum, dum, dum. Okie dokes. So I have my sugar here. I have a vanilla stick in my sugar, but that won't make much difference. Get it dried out. Break it back up. So this is just granulated sugar. Just the regular sugar you buy. Do you know we went to the supermarket, well, 2 weeks or so ago, Seahag, and we weren't looking for sugar, we were looking for something else, but we were in the baking aisle, and we saw these 3 people, probably all in their kind of late 20s maybe, early 30s, and you know how you can get sugar in 1 kilo in bags? They got the bags that are like this big.
They must have been on sale, the bags. Like
And
10 kilos.
yeah, and they stacked up a whole cart just full of this sugar. They took all these large bags of sugar from the store. And they sort of looked at us and said, oh, you didn't want any? And it's like, no, that's too much sugar for me. But we kind of left thinking, what are they going to do with that?
So it was like, what are they going to do with all that sugar?
Yeah.
Obviously, they were planning something.
Yeah, but it was sort of like, well...
Maybe it was a bakery of some kind.
Yes. Well, that was it, because we thought, well, if you're selling it in a store, I know sometimes you go into Costco and you think people, you know, it can be cheaper to buy stuff in Costco and then sell it in your store. But this just seemed like, wow, do you get a lot of people coming into your store for those big, big bags?
I'd say they have like a couple hundred kilos.
Yeah. Okay, got my sugar. I need my stirring implement.
A stirring implement.
Stirring implement.
That's a fancy word for a spatula.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here. So I've got my sugar. Can you see that?
Yep.
I'm just crushing out the last of these lumps from with it being a bit clumpy. We ended up getting a large bag of sugar because they didn't have, and I don't mean the size that we were just talking about.
No, it was like 2 kilos.
No, was it 2 kilos? Maybe 2 kilos, yes. Anywho, so a bit slower to use. I think that's why it's got a little clumpy, a bit dry here. We're into the moisturizer season. We went out east in September. Not an ounce of moisturizer needed to be used, and had that kind of moist skin. Now we've gone back to being dry and crusty. Not certain if anyone else lives in such a dry area, or maybe you live in a really moist area. So when you're doing this sugar, you don't want to, we're not looking to burn it, even though we're going to kind of caramelize it. We're not looking to burn it off, and it's called black. And you see it is actually a dark color that you kind of keep, look, because we see now it's already beginning to go. We're getting that melting. So I'm keeping the sugar on the move, and of course it's warmer in the center of the pan because that's sort of where it gets good contact with the element. Switch to a firmer stirring implement, and I'm gently stirring. Whoa, they went nice, didn't they? They just like spilled.
Which one?
The ones in the thingy.
Ooh.
They need it. I'm going to put it on for another 10 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm also trying to move things a little bit more into the center, and we can start seeing the slick of meltiness.
Slick of meltiness. I like that.
Yes, so it's the slick of meltiness. All technical speech here. So this is where actually sugar doesn't melt. It's not like butter. What happens is it goes through, the heat causes it to go through a bit of a chemical conversion kind of thing, and it breaks down. Which we could kind of think, well, isn't that melting? But anyway, I read that it's different to melting, because when it cools down, it doesn't go back into its original form. A bit if you think about butter. It forms a different kind of chemical compound. Okay, so I'm going to give this a bit of stir now. Let's keep it all in the center where it's nice and warm. I'm going to keep it in that melty process. I'm going to turn my heat down slightly. This is just sugar, there's no water or anything in this. There's nothing added.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, it is. It's melting and it's getting...
So we got this kind of brown going on. Don't worry too much about these sugary crystals. I hope they get reincorporated, because it's a bit hard in your pan to not have it. Get a bit of crystallizing, because there's different temperatures across the pan. That's why I tend to try and pull everything into the center, because that's where it's more liquidy. I'm just going to tweak again. Don't worry about tweaking with your burner temperature, but you don't want to put this on high, because you don't want it to race off on you and get super out of control and just burn.
So you haven't, sorry, did you add any water to it yet?
Nope.
So it's just still kind of thickening up kind of thing. But you're right, you don't want to burn it.
Yeah. And so you can do this to the color that you want, because you imagine, right, this is sugar. The darker it goes, the more it does have more of that bitter taste. Yeah, you can add this, to lots of things. You can add it. I was just reading, you can add it for cocktails.
I quite like it though. I might try it one time for coffee. I wonder what it would be for coffee.
But it does say you can put it in coffee, so.
Although I don't tend to have sugar in my coffee, I am curious to know whether it...
No, you just have eggnog. So you see, I'm just keeping this moving. Moving, baby.
Move it, move it. You got to move it, move it. Move it!
is an advantage to having a cast iron pan, is once it heats up, it does retain its heat. So it makes it a bit easier now that it's really kind of going to keep some of this melted sugar from setting on the edges of the pan. And you can begin to smell the...
Look at that. Oh, that is nice. I'm just going to get the...
And I'm not rushing it. I could pump up the heat up here and get it to quickly turn, but I don't want to rush it. I don't want it to get burnt really badly on me, because I can see it. It's kind of, you can see the heat coming off it, a bit of smokiness, you know. And this is what's going to give us that kind of flavor, complexity. I'm just going to try a little bit on the counter here. Now, if you kept doing, you know, this is going to turn into really hard candy. A bit like, you know, I don't know, I remember my brothers had a chemistry set. And I don't know, one time there must have, one of the experiments must have been something to do with sugar. But they made this kind of rock hard burnt sugar. So we're on that thing that we could do that. So I just cooled some on the counter and it's hard. So you could take this and you could pour it onto a cold surface, you know, a bit like Arlene, and you could crack it, let it cool, crack it, and you could use that to sprinkle on ice cream. So you get, you know, a bit like that toffee effect. Much simpler to make than toffee this. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get Seahag just to help me.
Yep. What you going to do?
I want you to pour
Yep.
hot water in there.
Okay, how much?
It's 3/4 of a cup.
3/4 of a
Yeah. So as this is all heating up and getting all a bit toasty,
Okay.
don't throw it in yet. Was that hot?
Yes, that was hot.
Don't throw it in yet. I don't need to do
Okay.
that. I want you to get me an oven glove.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So it's going. It's darkening up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something different. I want you to keep stirring that for me.
All right. I don't know about this.
I'm
Do
going to
something
do
different.
something different.
I don't know. What are you doing?
No, the only difference is I'm taking it off
Okay.
sooner than I would. Sorry.
That's
Now,
okay.
the only thing is, this is hot sugar. If you
It
get
is.
this on you, this is going to hurt. Hence
Pete.
why
Come on.
I put
Get
an
out
oven
of the way.
glove on.
Get
And I'm
out of
now
the way.
going to pour in 3/4 of a cup of water.
Did you add? Because I spilled some, so you might want to add a little bit more.
It's okay. I often don't add it all.
Okay.
Depends on how thick you want it.
Wow. So just a little bit of danger, health and safety, Mama.
Yeah.
But look at that. Wow.
So again, it has this black color.
That burnt sugar on it too.
Yeah. So I'm going to cook it a bit with all that water, because sometimes I don't put as much water in, so we can just let it cook a little bit, just to syrup up a bit. Because now we've done what we wanted to do with it, is turning it into a caramelizing it. I open the door just because it gets a little smoky. But again, it's something though just to be careful when you make this, because molten sugar, if you get that on you in any quantities, it is gonna hurt. So the fruitcake's still not ready. So this is the thing, takes a chunk of time. So far on the muffins, we're at approximately 30 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna get you to pass me a small plate.
Small plate? Yep.
Okay, so this is the color of our syrup. And it has a real, like a strong taste. So that it's not necessarily something you're just gonna eat on its own.
Got a bit of a, yeah, it's a bit of a syrup.
Yes, that's what you're making as a syrup. Hence why I've just kept it a little bit cooking on the top here to cook off a little bit of the liquid. So you're not going to have it on its own per se unless you really like that kind of burnt sugar taste. But again, it can be added to other things just to give a different flavor combination. A bit like, you know, how you may add coffee to things for a different flavor combination. So this is a light syrup as it is there.
Yes, it's got that burnt.
So you can see great in fruitcake because fruitcake has enough taste and flavor to carry it, but it adds extra depth. You can add it to coffee. Wouldn't add a lot to coffee. It's one of those things to try. Just to give that extra bitterness. Again, you could probably add it to a vinaigrette, you know, like, because it's a bit like when you use balsamic. Balsamic has that depth and a bit of bitterness to it. So again, like I say, I make this. I don't. One kind of making, 1 cup of sugar is enough for this to last me for, you know, a year, 2. So I'm just keeping track of how it's going in terms of its syrup, how thick it is. You all right there, dear? What you eating? See, this is why we get this thing where we have to weigh food. Suspicion. Actually, we're a terrible household. The last dog we had was not really a dog that would sit around and be checking of what the food is. Okay, that sounds good. Be checking what the food is around. This dog is like all 3 of us having to fight. If anything like moves, it's not where it should be, or she jumps on your knee, it's suddenly like, what you going for? You have to fight to get your food back. Okay. It's at a place where I'd like it. So I'm just going to keep stirring it in this pan. And then what I'm... Oh, you got some cooling rags here.
Yeah, there's cooling racks there. So what's coming out first?
And this is for this.
Oh, that's what you're gonna, okay. Yep, makes sense.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna get you to keep stirring it.
Oh, am I? Okay.
I think it's a little hot just to go straight into a jar.
Yeah. No, you're right. You don't want to put it into a jar. I'll keep stirring it.
But this pan is hot.
Yeah.
Because it is a cast iron pan, it is going to keep its heat longer. I drink tea, so I have this thing where I like my drinks hot. So I find I'm always heating up my coffee. Right, so we're still there. We got some bottom muffins that are nearly there. So at least we'll be able to pull some out soon and try them. So I got this kind of bit of a syrup going with this. So you can see it's still loose on my fingers. It's not like creating big sticky bits. But that's good because then it means that when I'm adding it to cake and stuff, it is liquidy enough to work with. But the first tester I did is much more liquid. So you kind of do that until you get it to a place where you want it. I would suggest you don't want to get it to be too thick because then it's going to be hard to use. Because sugar has this way of being like glue, you know, and so the more it goes through that kind of candy and setting process, the more it becomes like glue. I might try though next time actually shifting it and adding the water as soon as it melts. So again, to play around with some of that caramelization of how much caramelization you have. And so how much of that deep kind of strong bitter taste, because it's a bitter taste.
It is bitter.
And so that's why you'd only add a little bit, and it's just to add complexity. You could add something like this, like a teaspoon to brownies, to just change that taste. It's an alternative, say, to adding a bit of coffee to things. You could add this to a butter icing, a frosting.
And that bitterness will cut through some of that overly sweetness.
Yeah, and also the sweetness will cut some of the bitterness. So you'll get a nice flavor combo going. How you doing there?
All right. How much more do you need?
How hot do you think it's cooled down enough to go in a pan? Into a jar?
No, not yet.
Nope.
It's getting there.
Because I don't want to, I've done this before, even though you're like their mason jar, surely they can take heat. No, they're not, they have a limit to how much heat they can take. And it's not like I've put them into things that are red hot, but found that sometimes like when we made gravy and put in the microwave to defrost and we pulled out the jar, it left the bottom of the jar in the microwave. That's why. That was, because it was still frozen at the top, but obviously the bottom had just superheated in the microwave and the rest was still frozen.
We're going to put it in the mason jar?
Yes.
Might as well bring the mason jar out, maybe. Should be ready in another minute or so, I'd say.
Okie dokies. These are dishwasher clean. I am not doing any sterilization or anything. Again, this is just almost pure sugar. It'll be good. I've never done that and had a problem with it. But as I say, sugar's a preserving agent, hence that whole idea of jams and things. So, in this case, it'll be okay. Now, If you were to give this to a gift to someone and not just be eating it yourself, then maybe you'd want to perhaps sterilize your jar. Because who wants to be sued? Okay, how are we doing there?
I think that's okay now.
Alright, so do you want to bring the pan over?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it?
No.
Because it's going to be involved pouring.
Do you want to do it then?
Okay, we're going to pour this.
All right.
Can you see it?
Yeah, it's you. Yeah, people will be able to see it.
Okay.
Okay, you want me to do it?
I'm going to need you to do the spatula.
Okay.
Alright, here we go. Pouring.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Yes.
I know. It's hard for me to... Sorry. I know the dog doesn't... Okay, bring it back down so I can... There we go.
Scraper. Scrape, scrape, scrape.
I know, Whitby. Everything's so exciting when you're not a part of it. Eh? You don't like not being a part of it. Even though... Do you want me to hold it?
Okay, you're going to want to get a towel.
Okay.
Or this. Hold on.
Hang on.
I like cast iron pans, but they are a little heavy.
I'm gonna have to let this soak to get all that.
Yeah. And again, being sugar, it will soak off.
It'll dissolve.
Again, though, an advantage of being a cast iron pan is that we have a bit of a wider window to get it out of the pan because it's still warm. So the sugar isn't necessarily immediately setting in the pan.
Yeah.
I think that should do it, shouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get much more out of it. Alright. I'm going to pop this. I won't put it in the soak quite yet.
No, don't. Yes.
I'm gonna let it cool off. Ooh.
Okay, so apart from a little disaster here,
Down, 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 there.
some spillage. So we've got almost half a mason jar, which must be about at least half, 2/3 of a cup from our 1 cup of sugar. This stuff is beginning to set on the side. Just going to take it off a bit, make it a bit easier to clean.
How much more left on the...
I think the ones on the bottom should be done.
Okay.
And then we can try. And this is going to go thick. So again, it's one of those trial and error things. Even though the thickness was a certain degree, because we kept stirring it in a warm pot, it thickened up that little bit more. It thickened up a little bit more. For my uses, that works. If you want it to be more liquidy, say to go on to ice cream or anything like that, then to stop it when it's in a fairly loose stage because it's going to thicken up as you're just cooling it down a bit to put in a jar. Okay, so we did put some on the bottom. I'll just check that. Ooh. Ooh. So these went on the bottom. They're still a little pale, but I'm going to take one out and put the other ones back in. Assuming I can get it out. Just so we can cut it open. It is cooked with a little thing, but kind of would like it to be just a little, slightly more color on the top. Oops. I can tell you though, that oven smells boozy.
That's good.
Oh, this is fresh from the oven, so it's hot. It's a bit poked on the top. You would have that just a little firmer on the top, so it can sit in there because of the low temperature. So you'd have it a little bit firmer, but because we're on a bit of a timeline, it is cooked. However, and it's hot. So you can see it's moist here.
Oh yeah.
You know, so we have our little bits in here. Here's.
Just want to get you to bring it a little bit this way there.
Okay.
It's
So the marzipan you don't see, but you'll just see it as like these little extra, these pockets that are a little bit more moist. This is the one that was just the marzipan. This is what the cake's gonna look like.
Victor says, more catchphrases. I can tell you that oven smells boozy.
So it's a lighter color, but it's a moister, lighter color. The ones that has the cocoa in is darker.
Yes.
So, you know, this isn't necessarily making a super, super dark. The more fruit you have in here would make it darker. But this recipe makes a slightly lighter looking cake, but it doesn't taste like what you eat in the store. Okay, do you want to try?
Yes.
If you do want it to look darker, you can just add like a teaspoon of cocoa.
Or even some more treacle.
More treacle, or, you know, reduce the amount of cake to fruit.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Oh my God, that is awesome. Obadi says, booze makes all cooking better. I know. Oh, that is so good.
Yeah. So you get all the fruit, and it's still all moist. There's a lot of booze in there. It's not like you're stood here going, just eating a whole cup of rum. But you get all the nice flavors.
Oh, that is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Again. And you can just taste a little bit of the almond. Every now and then you get a little bit of that grating. So it comes out and hits you with a bit of intensity.
Yes, and by grating it and putting a little bit in, you're not overwhelmed with it. You don't,
No.
Because if you put too much in, it's going to be too sweet. That's going to be the overlying thing you're going to taste is the bit of almond paste and very sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that's dangerous. So what we're going to do is that when they're cooked, you'll bring them out, let them dry. You can let them sit. Give them a resting period. So what we'll probably do is leave them to rest for a day or two, and then we'll freeze them.
Yes.
So that you can eat it straight like this, but this is where it becomes a little bit more like just a regular cake. If you let it stand for a little bit, they will dry out slightly, but not in a nasty way. But it just means that as we cut into that, because it's still hot, it's softer, whereas it will firm it up a little bit and allow you to cut it, but it will develop still some more flavor as it sits. Fruitcakes are designed to last. They're not something you have to eat within a day or two. You can actually have them for years if you feed them.
Yeah, and the whole feeding. Do you want to talk to them about what we're not going to we won't be feeding our cakes, but
yeah.
Why don't you explain what feeding means and how you can do it?
Okay, so imagine, like we're starting off with dry fruit anyway. So it has a long shelf life. dried fruit has a long shelf life. You've got, you got a few years. So again, zombie apocalypse. Make certain you have some dried fruit in your pantry because it's going to last. So you've got this cake that actually has this dried fruit in it, and it has high sugar content because it's dried fruit. So it's going to last anyway. Fill the cake full of booziness because it gets inside there. So you can either just have a plain cake without booze, or you can have a boozy cake like I made it and still feed it. So the feeding is dried fruit and alcohol. That thing's not going off. It's not going moldy. So you're adding extra alcohol and feeding it so that it'll stay moist. It's going to last longer. Is a 10-year-old cake going to be as good as it was after, 6 months? Maybe not. After 3 months? But it's still edible, and that's kind of a tradition. I've heard that thing of your wedding cake, because it traditionally was in tiers, and fruit cake, and that you would have one part of that tier that you would use for your kid's 21st birthday. So you imagine how old that cake is. So feeding it, what you do is you put little holes in the top, and then you get like a teaspoon of brandy, rum, and you just put tiny amounts of that alcohol into your little holes so it goes into the cake. And it's just slowly going into the cake, and that cake is again getting more booziness as the longer you're doing this. And you're not creating it so it's soaking wet, you just keep adding it, and like you regularly add it, say once a week kind of thing, and you just keep doing that, and that will have the cake keep. Now, in that, you still want to be careful that it's well covered, that things don't get to it, and also it's just not naturally, like in an environment like Calgary, it's just going to dry out anyway because it's so dry, and you just keep feeding it, and that's what makes the cake still be edible after a couple of months, a couple of years.
Ogedy says, also, for the record, fruitcake is awesome. Screw everyone that thinks otherwise. Hey!
Yay! Yes, we should put that in a t-shirt.
Yeah. Fruitcake is awesome. Screw everyone that thinks otherwise.
Yes. So that is cool. These ones should be done. Oh, my glasses. Beauty of fruitcake, though, is you can put it in the oven and leave it for a while. You can go sit, watch a film. Okay, so we just browned off a little bit more on the top there. So I'm going to put this on a cooling rack. Leave them to cool off a bit, take them off and let them cool further. And then we'll probably wrap them up a bit, leave them for a day or two, and then we'll put them in the freezer. And you can see little edges here. Can you see this? That's where marzipan. So the marzipan that's kind of bubbled out of the cake has got a nice little crisp to it. Can you see that?
Yep.
And then also on the top you can see
it's
this.
It's hard to see that. The lighting's not that good, but yes.
A little bit of glaze of the marzipan. So the stuff on the top will have a little crust on it. Are we done? Or?
No, are you going to do, what about what are the rest of the stuff going to do?
I don't know, we're still cooking.
Well, how much is longer for the cake?
Oh, they're pumping up now. They are pumping up. I'm going to give them another 8 minutes.
Okay, so we're going to try to get the cake done.
I don't know about the big cake.
The big cake won't get done? All right, so we'll put pictures of the cake. What we'll do is we'll put pictures of the cake.
We'll just wait for the other ones to come out. That should be done in about 8 minutes.
Okay, so yeah.
You could let them cool slightly.
Yeah, okay.
Just give them a minute or two to cool.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about any of your up and coming
yes.
stuff?
So, up and coming. I have to come down this far and say hi to everybody. Because Blue doesn't want to have her face out. So, I'm the only one that does. So, our next cooking stream will be the first Saturday in January, we are going to do healthy stuff. Not sure what, probably some nice soups for those who want to start the new year with a health kick. So yeah, so that would be, what is the, I'm just going to double check the date on that. The date of that will be, oops. The date on that is going to be, so it'll be the January 6th. January 6th, we will be having our next Witch's Pantry cooking stream. I will also be streaming on Monday and Wednesday, just a regular gaming one, probably. Conan. Yay! Thank you, Vixter, for the Discord, the server. We're having so much fun playing on that. But I've also looked at a couple of demo games that I might also play as well. We'll see in the month of December. Oops. And then on the 23rd of December, yes, it is the day before Christmas Eve, but we are going to be doing Call of Cthulhu online. It's our regular monthly game. We're looking forward to that. And other than that, that's it, really. Definitely check out the Discord.
So Call of Cthulhu.
Yes.
In Boston.
In Boston.
And then you get to see the lovely Mabel.
You
get to hear the lovely Mabel.
Yes. Yes.
And our amazing adventures in Boston.
Adventures. It's true.
Yes.
Ogedy says Crom. Ogedy, you're too Crom. You're too much Crom.
What's Crom?
RPG. Crom is one of the gods in Conan. RPG says, Vixter says, thanks Bluewitch66, that was cool. And RPG, what level are you? I am at level, in Conan, I'm at level 54. So I'm ready to do a purge. We need to talk about that.
We haven't even had Christmas yet. You're going to do a purge?
You're going to do a purge. Purge! But yeah, the other thing I am thinking about, if anybody wants to do it, is during the Christmas hauls, I'm going to DM a one-shot D&D game with anyone who might be interested in playing. So if you are interested in playing, DM me. You would have to be interested because it'll be streamed, so your voice will be streamed as well. But if you are interested, kindly DM me on Discord. And I'm just going to go into the Discord chat, and give you my Discord channel address. Ooh. Ogedy says, almost there. Just finished the battle pass. Nice. Let's do a Christmas purge. I love the idea of a Christmas purge, Vixter. Discord. Here we go. And that's really it, folks. Or, yes, we're going to do, is this the chocolate one?
Yes. Another couple of minutes and you should be able to take that out.
Look at that. It's lovely. It's lovely. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed it. I know we enjoyed it. It's part of the Christmas cooking we used to do. We used to do a lot more. God, we used to do a lot more. Had to stop.
Mince pies.
We do have to make mince pies and shortbread cookie.
Yes.
That's the only really Christmas recipes. We do the Christmas fruitcake, the
mince
pies,
and then the cookies.
And then the cookies. And the cookies are, I was trying to convince her to do the cookies today, but I think that would have been too much. Anyway, 3 more minutes. Anybody have any questions they'd like answered? That was very great to see you. Thank you both. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Also,
says, I've been negligent getting a base built.
I was going to say as well, just with this, just as we're seeing, that even though these fruitcakes are smaller, they do take much longer to cook.
Yes.
At the lower temperatures than you would expect of, say, regular muffins and things like that.
Yeah.
So just be giving yourself, even if you make the muffins, allowing, 30 minutes to 40 minutes for the muffins.
Exactly.
Okie dokes. I'm just doing putting my ground spice away.
The ground spice mix.
And I just put it in a mason jar. Or the equivalent of a mason jar. Yeah, and then, so that's quite good. We're all ready. We just have another minute or two on this and we should hopefully be able to see them. Take those out and be surprised and amazed.
Surprised and amazed.
Yeah. I'm just slowly picking things up and putting them away. So that whole idea of like, okay. The part of cooking that's always a bit like, oh, okay, we have to clean. The whole cleaning part. It's a bit like when I play video games and I'm like, oh my god, how long? Now I'm done, I'm finished. It takes me how long to leave the game?
So then we have to find someplace safe. All right. That chocolate smells really nice.
Okie dokes. Let me just get my little prodder. Clean it up.
Oh, Chefy! Chefy, you're late. We're just finishing up. How are you? We're just, well, you can always go and see the stream. Re-watch the stream. We have done 3 types of
Fruitcake.
fruitcake.
So these are the ones, just to say, this spread a little bit. I'm going to put them back in. They're not quite done. I want them to be just a bit browner on the top.
So that was the one that we had marzipan in. And then we have just a regular one, and then we're doing a chocolate one.
Yeah.
This is the chocolate one.
And this is how the chocolate one turned out. Much darker.
Chocolate.
It's kind of cooked, but again, I'm just going to give it a little bit longer.
Oh. How are you finding Starfield, Chefy? All right. I don't think, but we're wrapping up.
Yep. We're not quite ready yet. We'll show pictures.
So we will be posting pictures on the Discord channel. I'm glad, Chefy, that Starfield is fun. We and I'll have to chat sometime. I'm thinking about getting it, but probably not for another 6 months or so. So, yeah, we are wrapping up. Thank you guys again. Again, like I said, our next cooking stream will be Saturday, January 6th. Oh, we're in the middle of an ad. Dang. But yeah, and thank you all for showing up. Might have to wait till the ad's done.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. What did you do? Yeah, so again, let's check out the Discord channel. Join the Discord channel. Check out the Witch's Pantry, the channel. Yeah. Very much fun, but yo. Alright guys, I'm just waiting for the ad break to end and then we're going to say goodbye. And thank you all once again for showing up. Very much appreciate the audience and having your time and energy and your comments. It's all fun. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Chefy, I'm sorry, we gotta go, but I hope to catch you some other time, and I hope everything's going well with you and you have a wonderful Christmas hauls. Again, from Blue Witch and I to all of you, you'll see me in the next couple of weeks, but Happy holidays to you all, however you decide to celebrate. And I do hope you will love the Christmas cake and you will try some of that.
Yes, try making it.
Try making it yourselves instead of saying, ooh, it's no good. I hope we were able to at least raise some questions around that. You all take care and